and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I would like to welcome you each along on another adventure. And this is the first time for me on this plant swap. Apparently, you bring a plant, you get a plant. So it looks like there's a pretty good amount of people here. I will post the thumbnail that was sent to me, and let's get in here and plant swap. Let's see what I can get. It's supposed to be a speaker as well. So see y'all after a while.
For birds and other creatures, especially in the winter. And oak leaves take a long time to decay, and so they can support insects and composters for up to 3 years if left in place. Now, I know you don't want them on your yard, but you could just blow them into the beds and just leave them in the beds, because I know that I watch birds in the winter go around our beds. They have the leaves in, and they're just moving them everywhere, and there's leaves are flying, and they're looking for stuff, and they're looking for insects that are overwintering in the leaf litter. So it's a really good thing to do. Okay, oak trees contribute biodiversity that is the greatest here in the United States. We have more oak species here than other parts of the country, of the world. Oaks live a long time, and of course, all tree species live for a long time, and they keep carbon from being released into the air. And if you're saying, well, the oak trees, they're just so big and messy. Well, if you have enough land, just remember white oaks, northern red oaks, and the shoe-marred oak don't necessarily have surface roots. They tend to have roots that go down in the ground, and are more suited for an urban type setting. So use one of those. Here's a whole bunch of other. We're going to go through. I gave you the list. We're going to go down through the list, and we're going to talk about some of these other native trees, shrubs, and other plants that are good for the environment and are native to our area. One that's not used very much, Carpinus caroliniana, the ironwood tree. Of course, it's found mostly in the eastern half of the U.S. It supports 77 caterpillar species and is usually found along riverbanks. So it's close to a water source, and it's a small tree. So if you have a wet yard and you wanted to plant a native tree that's smaller, this would be a great tree for you to plant in your yard. Another one that's really nice is the Amelanchier species, the surface berry. There's several different kinds that are native. Just pick which one that you can find. Um, it's a small tree also. It has white flowers in the spring. And of course, it attracts pollinators. It has berries in the fall that attracts birds, and you actually can eat the berries, I'm told. So I
Yes,
don't
you
know.
can.
It'd be so hard to find
Yes, you can.
that I just don't want to pick them. I'd rather have the birds have them.
Oh,
But
God,
it
one of
supports
them.
114 caterpillar species, and that's a lot for a small tree. Dogwoods. Dogwoods are great for pollinators and the berries for the birds. It supports 126 caterpillar species, and it's also a small tree so that you could fit in your yard. And there's all different kinds of dogwoods. So, in fact, the book that I learned tree species from at school was from Michael Durr. It's the Man Who Landscape Plants, and it's over 1,000 pages long, about that thick. But I still use it as reference, and he talks about all the different kinds of dogwoods out there. And until I started doing arboretum stuff, I didn't realize how many native dogwoods we have around here. So dogwoods are good. Cercis canadensis, the eastern redbud. This tree can get 35 to 40 feet tall. Look at one of the first things that blooms in the spring. Got numerous caterpillars, butterflies, and moths that eat the leaves. And the flowers are actually edible by humans. A lot of people put them in their salads when they bloom.
Make a jelly too.
And so this is it's a really nice native tree, and it's not very big. In fact, they give this away a lot of times in the free giveaways for trees around Arbor Day. And it's a good tree to get. Sometimes it doesn't live a whole long time. I've seen them not last more than maybe 30 years in a landscape. But still, 30 years is a long time in a landscape, but not as long as an oak tree or something like that. The Acer species, the maples, there's a very thick section of maples in Michael Durr's book. So there are many, many maples. I like maples so much that I named my dog after a maple. She is Barclay's Autumn Glory, and I call her Glory. Autumn Glory is a variety of red maple. So that's the way that goes. Anyway, there's another large amount of caterpillars and insects that inhabit this tree. Of course, the birds are attracted to that. And it's large enough tree that, squirrels and other birds will nest in it. So you're benefiting a lot more animals than you are just the bugs. And so this is, when I'm saying that all these bugs get on these trees, that's why when it's very funny when people say, oh, something's eating my leaves. I'm like, well, good, because that means that that particular plant is very viable in the ecosystem of your yard. That means it's feeding a lot of things, and you've got a good natural habitat going on. In fact, if my plant is absolutely perfect and nothing's on it, then it's not doing any good for Mother Nature. Nyssa species, the tupelo tree. Now, being an extension, I got to drive down the highway a lot between here and Knoxville, and in every place in between. Um, so it's always fun to watch and see the red of the tupelo trees starting to turn in the fall in the woods along the interstate. And so it's a very tall tree. It's about 50 feet tall. It's slow growing. It's got good red fall foliage, and when it blooms, there are some parts of the country that know exactly when the tupelo trees are blooming in their area, and then when they're done blooming, they harvest the honey that the bees have pollinated those trees with for tupelo honey. Very prized, very expensive honey, and uh, there's a lot of when you say, "Oh well, I've had tupelo honey," have you had the pure tupelo honey? There were these. It's very expensive because it just has tupelo honey in it, and so a lot of the tupelo honeys can be 50% tupelo. So if there's tupelo trees in the area, they can. So there's a different type of tupelo honey available, but by law it has to be so much percentage of the honey from tupelo trees. It's good. Of course, I like honey. Prunus species, the cherries. This is a medium height tree, about 30 to 50 feet. Of course, the pollinators like the flowers. Um, and if you get the Prunus serotina, the black cherry, or the Prunus virginiana, the choke cherry, these have the most caterpillar species to sustain animal life. And those are those are the native ones that are, a lot of the other cherry trees are hybrids and came from other parts of the country. While they are good, they aren't the native cherries. And when I say pollinators, I do want to make a phrase of that don't just think bees. There are 4,000 native type bees around here, not just the honeybee. And there's all sorts of bumblebees, and also hummingbirds pollinate trees, other kind of birds. Like think about the Baltimore oriole coming through. When the state tree, the tulip poplar, blooms, that's when the orioles are coming through because they're eating the nectar of our tulip trees. So birds help pollinate. All insects, sometimes animals. So there's a whole list of things that can pollinate: butterflies, bees, birds, all kinds of animals. So pollinators can be a lot of different types of animals and insects. Aesculus pavia, the red buckeye.
Mm-hmm.
These have beautiful red flowers in the spring that attract, of course, the hummingbirds. And this is when you're supposed to set out your hummingbird foods because, like the orioles coming through with the tupelo trees, with the tulip poplar trees, you've got hummingbirds coming through migrating when the red buckeyes are blooming. So that's when you set out your uh, hummingbird feeders for the year. Of course, it's an understory tree, sort of like the dogwoods. It gets about 15 feet tall, and it's really pretty. The Betula species, very large range of birch across the United States. Of course, they have lots of caterpillar and insect species. They get to be about 50 feet tall, and they have beautiful bark and winter interests all across the country, different types of birches. Their birch trees are known for their beautiful bark all across the country, all different kinds. The salix, the willows, these are large trees, 50 feet height. They have soft texture. They move very easily in the wind. And they, of course, support a lot of insect and caterpillar species and are found usually in areas that are low, with lowland areas. It was interesting when my son was a Cub Scout, we had gone to the river, and I think Fitzgerald has an arboretum down near the river and boardwalks and stuff. And they had they were labeled some of the trees down there, and I started showing the boys all these trees, and and I said, look, these are all lowland trees. These are the types of trees you find in lowland. So if you ever get lost in the woods, when you start finding these types of trees, you know you're getting in a lower part of the area, a low area where there could be water or something. And then when we went camping up at the Boy Scout camp near there in Mississippi, it was upland, and I said, "Look, boys, see these? These are the oaks. These are the hickories. I said, look, these are upland trees. So you know when you're hiking around an area like this, you're going to find these type of trees, and you're not in the lowlands or near water." So it was very interesting. Of course, they probably never remember any of it. But anyway. Next, this is one, the alder trees. It's found all over the United States. It gets to be 50 feet tall, has numerous caterpillar and insect species throughout the year. And the interesting thing about alder wood is it hardens when it gets wet. In fact, Venice was built on alder wood. The Incas used alder wood to fertilize poor soil because what happens, there's a symbiotic relation or a relationship that the root system has, that by the process of its growing, it puts off fertilizer and fertilizes the ground around it. So the Incas would take poor areas and plant alder trees to fertilize the area so they could grow better crops. It's amazing how things work. Hickories, the Caria species. These are found in a large area across the United States. They're large trees of 50 feet or more. And it's interesting, I have seen Luna moths around my patio, and I wondered, wow, I've never seen these in years. I wonder why I have them. And then I was looking this up and found out that that's one of the hickories, or one of the species that likes the Luna moth inhabits. And so that's why I have Luna moths, because I have hickories. Of course, the squirrels eat all the cones. We wanted to talk about that. Pine trees. Here's some evergreens. Pine trees. They are large. Think about 191 insect species are associated with pine trees. And the seeds, the birds, especially when mammals in the winter, migratory birds use them as food. They use them as protection in the winter time. Good. And also the juniper trees, same way. And of course, the berries of the juniper also have been used for medicinal purposes, I guess you could say. I think Was it gin? I think gin is used. It originally was made with juniper berries. And there are other evergreens like the thujas, the ilexes, and the spruces. All very good. You need evergreen trees in your yard for the winter to have some interest in the winter, and it helps Mother Nature also. Magnolias, there's all kinds of magnolias. They bloom at different times of the year. Some of them are deciduous, some of them are evergreen, and they're there and they help support biodiversity. Crab apples, same way, but these are smaller. They're only under 30 feet. Uh, I don't know. The one at the university right now in our arboretum is just loaded with crab apples. I wish somebody would pick them and use something with them, but yes.
I'd be more than happy to come pick them. More than happy.
They're out there. What road? It's on DeSoto, and where you can drive to. So come pick them.
They make great jelly.
And pectin to make other jelly with.
Pardon me?
And you can use their juice to make other jelly because they are the highest in pectin.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Very interesting. Next, we have another smaller type species, 30 to 40 foot, and these have small leaves on them. It's the hackberry or the sugarberry, and they're very underused native trees. You see them a lot in nature, and you wonder, oh, I wonder what that tree is. Well, that's most likely is going to be a hackberry or a sugarberry. A lot of people mistaken it for because the leaves are the same shape as the elms, but it's not an elm. It's sugarberry. Now, non-native trees still feed birds, butterflies, and bees, and they provide nesting. Don't know. Can you see the woodpecker? Redhead. This is out my work window. Kept seeing this woodpecker out there. It was really cute. I said, I gotta take a picture of it. But that happens to be a sawtooth oak, which is not a native oak. But yet I see squirrels and these woodpeckers looking for insects in the tree. So.
Joellen,
Yeah.
you didn't mention the cypress.
Mm-hmm.
Cypress tree.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because it doesn't have as many caterpillar. I'm going for a high caterpillar count. You can have them, but they don't have a high caterpillar and insect count to benefit.
They are a native tree.
Yes.
Yeah, they're native, but they're not. They don't have as many high counts to support animals and bugs and birds and stuff. You don't see too many things eating them. Next, we're going to go to shrubs. And here's one. I brought you a branch of mine so you can see it. They're not fully developed yet. Some of them are still green. Haven't gotten their fall brilliance yet. But it's the Calicarpa americana, the beauty berry. Of course, it's known for its magenta berries in the fall and yellow foliage color. Berries are eaten by the birds. Insects are attracted to the beauty berry to be eaten by the birds. The big downfall of this is that crepe myrtle bark scale jumps from our crepe myrtles to this plant. So you have to watch that.
Crepe myrtles aren't native.
They noticed it downtown Memphis, along the river. They had a whole bunch of these beauty berries, and they called the extension office in Shelby County, and they went down and they found that it was a crepe myrtle bark scale. And I have had crepe myrtle bark scale on these, but that cold this last year that came through killed these to the ground. I don't have crepe myrtle bark scale this year, so sometimes there's a good benefit of all the foliage dying. And this is one of the shrubs I had to write on your handout. Um, it's the Ilex vomitoria, the dwarf Yopon holly. If you looked at the university and around town, this did not die in that sudden drop because Yopon hollies are native.
Mm-hmm.
And it withstood that huge drop in temperature. So I highly recommend Yopon holly. We've been replacing a lot of the other plants that died out with Yopon holly because it withstood the sudden cold temperatures. And there's different varieties of it. Schilling and Bordeaux are some of the most famous. And if there is a tree form of this, and it usually is multi-stemmed, it didn't have any problems with the cold either. And occasionally, when they get old enough, they'll have berries. And some do, some don't. We used to have one that had berries that got really big in front of one of the dorms, but then somebody climbed it and looked inside the windows, so we had to cut it down. The things you do at a university. Um, Other things, shrubs that are good, not only for you, but for birds and everything else, are blackberries and raspberries and blueberries. Blueberry bushes are gorgeous. Not only do they provide fruit, but they have beautiful fall foliage color. So, I highly recommend all of those. One you don't see a whole lot, the button bush, uh, Cephalanthus occidentalis. It's a pretty little plant, and it usually grows in edges of ponds, is where I've seen it. It likes to be wet, so you find areas like that. And of course, azaleas and rhododendrons are other things, but now I'm talking about native azaleas. Like this one's orange. I had an orange one. But they're usually in reds or yellows or oranges. They're native azaleas that grow out in the woods. They're not the kind that are from the Asian ones. They're not those. So these are the kind of native azaleas that I'm talking about.
Are native
that
to
are good for your
America
yard.
as well.
And they're really pretty too. Hollies, the Ilex opaca, the American holly, gorgeous berries, beautiful little green shrubby tree. Ilex decidua, the same way. When it loses its leaves, the berries still appear and the birds eventually eat them. The Botanic Garden used to have one, I don't know if it's still there or not, by the pond with the Japanese.
It's there.
Is it still there? It's real pretty when the winter you go there. The blue of the water and the red berries, real pretty. And viburnums. There's a whole bunch of viburnums that are native. The dentatum and the trilobum all have nice foliage and berries and just very good for nature, and they're pretty for you to look at. We'll go to some vines. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the trumpet vine. Campus radicans, probably along the roads, always blooming. They have taken that one and they've made some hybrids of it that are pretty, might be good for your yard. And of course, the Lonicera, the honeysuckle, sempervirens, they say that specifically sempervirens is good for the southeast. And the one that does the best for the pollinators and things like that is called Major Wheeler. I think I wrote that on your page. Yeah, Major Wheeler. Then we've got some grasses that are native. The little blue stem, the panicum, switchgrass. Those two in particular are native and support a lot of native wildlife. Then we've got annuals and perennials. There's a whole lot of these. Rudbeckias, the black-eyed Susans, are native in this area. Gaillardia species, the blanket flower, is also native in this area. Attracts a lot of blooms for a long period of time in this growing season and attracts a lot of birds and pollinators. Highly recommend them. Um, yeah, if if you want to know the exact, the Rudbeckia hirta, which is more the annual one, the black-eyed Susan, that's, if you go to a native grasses, nativeprairies.com or something like that, you'll find companies that harvest native perennials out on the prairie. So you'll get the exact ones that are native to this area. Also, liatris, the blazing star, is interesting. Nobody knew about this plant, and the Europeans came over here, and you started seeing this in the florist trade, and got, real pretty. Well, it's native to the United States, and so they've since developed a lot of varieties of this, and it's very, very pretty, all based on native liatris. So it's a very good native plant too, and you buy corms of it or plants. And next, lobelia species, the cardinal flower. This is another nice native plant. The lobelia I'm talking about is the actual cardinal flower. It's the one that is native. There are other native lobelias. Again, do your research to get the exact ones. The columbine, all of the native columbines are not these fancy, big, large, small, frilly ones. They are the ones that are mostly red with a little bit of yellow on them. They're a little bit taller, very prolific bloomers and reseeders. And this is a great native columbine for your yard if you've got a shady area. And of course, everybody blames, I have hay fever myself, but the solidago, the goldenrod, is not the culprit. It happens to be blooming this time of year when the goldenrod, when the
Ragweed.
thank you, ragweed is blooming. Ragweed you can't see. Ragweed is terrible. It doesn't have, but you know what? I have a sheep farmer across the street from me. He says his sheep love ragweed. I said, give it all to him. Less in the air for me to sneeze from. Very pretty. Agastaches, the hyssop, yeah. Oh my gosh. Agastache, I usually call it by the scientific name half the time. There are a lot of different agastaches, so make sure you get the one that is more native to this area. The others will do fine too, but if you truly want native plants, you're going to have to hunt for the native agastache. Iris, now, it's not just any iris. Iris virginiana is a native iris, and that's the one that you would want if you want to keep with native plants. And it's pretty. You'll notice that it used to be, the Joe Pye weed used to be I wrote it down. Eupatorium. But now it's not eupatorium, it's eutrochium. I don't know. This is brand new to me. When I did this, I said, what? They've changed the name of the eupatorium?
Yep.
I don't know. But on the internet, eupatorium's everywhere. So it's the same thing. But they probably, some person got their doctorate by studying the gene of this particular plant and figured out it wasn't part of the eupatorium family. I don't know. But they're always changing plant names on it. So you have to go with the flow and get with the new program. Then the next one, the butterfly Asclepias tuberosa, is the native one in our area. And in fact, I've seen it along the roadside blooming. Has anybody else seen it along the roadside blooming? It's really pretty. So that's the one that's native to this area. So that's the one I recommend. Then there's phlox. Phlox, just all different kinds of phlox are good. Echinacea, and specifically not the yellows or the orange ones or anything like that. We're talking about the purple echinacea is the native ones. In fact, Tennessee has a very popular purple coneflower. I don't know who sells it but in Nashville and East Tennessee, they're very popular because they're available in those areas. And if you do want to, the Tennessee Smart Yards from UT has a huge website of native plants if you want further native plants. A lot of them, though, that are listed are more for East Tennessee than they are West Tennessee. Just keep that in mind.
Where is that?
It's a Smart Yards. Look for Smart Yards as part of the University of Tennessee, and you will probably find their list. Look for their plant list. It's a very long list, but a lot of, like I said, a lot of it's for East Tennessee. So I don't. I looked at it and went, well, that's nice for them, but it doesn't help us any. Then there's the salvia. There's native salvias. There's all different kinds. I didn't want to list all of them, so you'll just have to look it up. Most of them are on the bluish side. They don't have a lot of colors like the actual salvias that are for sale in the trade. So you have to look up the specific salvia that is native. And the Monarda species, this is a very good native plant. They have hybridized it, and you probably can't find, if you go to a seed company, you'll find the native Monardas, but you'll most likely find in the nurseries the ones that are hybrids of that.
Monsanto plants.
And Ratavita, the Mexican hat, is a very cute. I like it. I think it's fun. I used to grow it. I had a red variety. But it's nice. I like it. It's very pretty. And then, of course, the helianthus, the sunflowers, there's all kinds of them. Very attracted for birds in the landscape, so, and bees. Very popular. Now, plants are the only organism that can capture energy from the sun and convert it into food that sustains the rest of life on Earth. So go out, get some native plants, and add them to your yard. And that's all I've got for you today. I'll take any questions you've got.
Are Mexican sunflowers a native?
No,
I didn't. see
Tithonia.
that.
But this time of year, the butterflies that are trying to find, there's a lot of things that aren't blooming this time of year. And I always have them in my yard because there isn't very much blooming this time of year, especially if your annuals has fizzled out. And so I've seen hummingbirds at mine, and I have seen bees on mine this time of year. And it's one of the last things. Of course, the first frost and it's gone, but I think it sustains a lot of butterflies and bees at the end of the season. And that's why I say I like native plants, but I like some of the other plants too, and I incorporate both of them in my yard. I see nothing wrong with that. But there are some people that are purists and don't want anything but native plants, and I can understand that. But I like a combination of both. But yeah, no, it's not native. Yes.
Where does the Mexican hat mostly grow? That dry or wet feet?
It's a prairie. It's more dry.
Prairie.
hmm
I haven't seen that one around
Yeah, I've read a bit. That's cute. I like it. Yes.
Tulip poplar, that's a state tree, right?
Yeah, it's a state tree.
And where does it grow best?
It's upland. It likes dry. It's not usually found in lowlands. Yes.
How are the bees doing nowadays?
What now?
How are the bees doing nowadays? You hear on the media that bees are really in trouble as far as dying out for reasons of the environment.
Yeah, I think there's still it's an ongoing problem with bees, but when you get large, I mean, a lot of these beekeepers, we're talking large, huge populations of bees that are driven from place to place to place to pollinate crops. And they pick up diseases from, it's just like going to a foreign country and getting, don't drink the water in Mexico. It's sort of the same problem they're having. A lot of the problems I think they found with bees were the Verona virus.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
No.
and of course, so they were starting to treat them. They found cures for it that have to do with, they put some kind of dust at the front of the hive so that when the workers come in, they land on it and they take it in and everybody gets treated. And,
Wow.
that's helped out a lot.
Yeah,
But
that's
I think it's an ongoing problem because it's just like we're a world economy. We didn't have crepe myrtle bark scale before. We didn't have the emerald ash borer. There's a lot of bugs and things that we have now that we didn't because we're a global economy and we're bringing things from other parts of the world into all the other parts of the world. And so sometimes the native flora and fauna don't always jive with all of that.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Hate to
I
think
just
we
think
don't
it's
have
gonna be,
bees.
yeah, it's gonna be an ongoing problem, just like anything else. Just like COVID, it's gonna be an ongoing problem.
biological war.
It's just the state of the world we live in.
Is it true, like, in the have that cold weather span, if you, water it real heavy before you get the cold spell, that will keep the plant alive longer?
Well, yes, I'll tell you a story. We had a 1987, December of 1987, we still hadn't had a frost. And so the crepe myrtles still had leaves on them, everything, but there had been no rain for a long time, and we were going to get this freezing cold temperatures. So I came home from work, and of course, it's dark, 4:30 in December. So I'm out there watering everything because I know this freeze is coming. And my neighbors probably thought I was crazy. But something, I didn't lose things that they lost. So yes, in fact, there are nurseries that actually water during a freeze because when anything that goes from one state to the next gives off energy. So even when it's going from a liquid state to a frozen state, it's giving off energy and keeping the temperature at 32 or above. When the temperature outside is in the teens, it's still keeping it warm enough that it's not going to hurt it. They showed a picture in a trade magazine of a grower that had sprinkled his calibrachoa baskets out in the field, huge field full of them. And there's thick ice on everything. They said they watered for the entire time of the cold. So that it would constantly be going from a liquid state to a freezing state for like 16 hours. And so it ended up with a huge, thick layer of ice on it, but he didn't lose anything. And that's when I say, too, that's one of the reasons why we lost all. We'd had cold before, but this last December when we got that, it was a 30-degree drop in temperature within minutes. Anything that was not hardened off or was not used to that or was not protected, it hurt. We had no snow. We had no cover. That's why I like it when it snows and ices. Well, you can get cold temperatures after that because it's been covered. But if it's not covered with ice or snow, it's going to get hurt. And you've seen that over the years when we've had ice storms and things like that. Whereas, when it started melting, say that some tips that weren't covered got brown, but the rest of the plant was fine. It's the same principle. Yeah, and I would. If we haven't had rain and we're going to get a cold snap, I go out and water things just to give it an extra boost.
You water the leaves, everything.
I water everything, yeah, mostly the ground. And I try to do it, the day before so that the plant can take up the water, so they've got it in their systems and, you know. So, yes.
My azaleas
Mhm.
were disastrous
Mhm.
as a result of all that winter.
Mhm.
Does that suggest that maybe these were non-native azaleas?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
But don't get rid of them yet.
No,
They're
I mean,
back out.
Oh,
they,
okay.
mine did come back out. All the azaleas, we didn't lose a lot of azaleas, but, the one, they didn't bloom because they had, the buds at the end of the branches were hurt. Not all of them, but they didn't have a flush of bloom, but they had blooms on them this year because of that.
Okay, so what do I need to do with them?
Is it green now? Growing? It's growing through the growing season?
Parts of some of them are, and some of them, have dead spots in them.
The dead spots you can cut out anytime. But if you've watered and fertilized the rest of the plant and it's growing, you most likely will get blooms next year if we don't get something like this again. And if we do, and you know it's coming, go out and cover them. I have known people in further north here love roses, and they'll take straw in a form of like fencing form. They'll put it around their rose, and they'll stuff hay, straw or hay in it, cover it up with some plastic. Keeps it just fine. Just depends on what you want to do. How much do you want your azalea to bloom? And I can understand that because my mother loved gardenias. And so she was all excited when we moved here to the south and we could grow gardenias. She had one on each side of her front door. And they'd grow me green, and then this is the 70s, so then they died down because we had cold winters, and then they'd come back up, and they never bloomed. And then she found out they bloom on second year of wood, and we were not getting second year because it was dying every year and coming back up. So she dug them up, put them in a container, rolled them in and out of the garage. For the entire 30-some years she lived in that house. And of course, we'd help her.
Did they bloom now?
Oh, yes. Well, she had those for her wedding in June, so back in the day. So she loved gardenias. And she went to that length for the gardenias. Maybe that's what you want to do with your azalea. I don't know. Yes.
I was going to say about the beauty berries. People need to know that there are an American native beauty berries, and then there's the Asian beauty berries. You can't really do anything with the Asian beauty berries. The American ones, not only are the leaves, you can rub them on your skin, a mosquito repellent, you can make jelly with the berries.
Did not know that. Well, I guess we're ready for our plant swap.
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
We'll turn on the lights. Cut this off. You're welcome.
Gave us a lot to think about. All right, we have plants and we have, more plants than people. No, I was just kidding. We have more plants than people who brought plants, is what I was trying to say. So if you didn't bring a plant and you want a plant, then, as soon as everybody gets theirs and brought plants, then take one home with you. Don't be shy, somebody's trying.
She said, what plants are poisonous? She was telling me, I'm going to Walmart right now to buy some of those. Are these outside or inside? They're inside, like my African violets and it's on the fireplace, big mantle, and it'll jump up there and keep it there. backyard is so small, and the trees. Yeah. It's pretty, you can have a bigger lot, but you could put it away from your house. Yeah, that's right. Might get me some coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, y'all. Not a whole lot to choose from. Most of it all is houseplants. Apparently, people don't know what native plants are, and native plants are not houseplants.
Somebody blocked it.
Linen rose,
Some kind of gum.
money plant, linen rose. Oh, there's garlic chives, cypress vine, which is poisonous if you're not careful. Guess I'm gonna get a fern, and I'm gonna get a linen rose. Well, needless to say, that was an interesting, supposed to have been native plant swap. I got some linen rose, I got some milkweed, some garlic chives, two more milkweeds, and ferns that nobody knows who brought them. So I had no clue what kind they are. Yep, it was mostly houseplants and not native houseplants. So when they bring those plants inside, they're not going to be able to sustain any form of life on poisonous houseplants, folks. But I got some medicinals, not many, but hey, I enjoyed myself. See you here in a bit. Well, that was pretty interesting. It was supposed to be a native plant swap. The talker was pretty good until she brought up COVID and bees. I was ready to head out then, but I hung in there. I got a few medicinal plants, not much native plants. I rescued the ferns because I can't help it, love ferns. That's an addiction of mine. I couldn't find out what kind of ferns they were because nobody knew who brought them. And I got two beautiful wrought iron plant stands, so yeah, that was pretty good. I wasn't expecting that one. The lady asked me, did I want them? I'm like, yes, ma'am. And then another lady brought some very small scale little greenhouses, uh, seed cells. There we go. So, seedling cells. So she's like going, I don't want to take these home. Does anybody want them? Yes, ma'am, I'll take them. So I got to get out of the house. Got to get back, check on Junior. Other than that, it was pretty good. I'm hoping to go on an adventure here soon for crabapple harvesting. And so, yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Trying to think what else I was going to say. It was something else I was going to say. But hey, I got out of the house. I got to talk to a few people. I might be doing a talk here as well. The lady was interested in what I had to say, and so they might be. So yeah, might be having a speaking engagement. Oh, the enlightenment that will happen. That's beside the point. So I'm fixing to go relax because I didn't get much sleep last night. I'm tired. It was pretty good. I hope y'all enjoyed this video as well. I just would have liked to see more native plants. Really would have. But hey, it's a start. Everyone, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And may you each be blessed. Hoot hoot. Take care, y'all.